Ravan, Pahadi.
Is a small temple cave, integrating a spiritual message and the artistic means used to achieve it. The cave was excavated at the beginning of the temple cave building era in the south of India, at Aihole in the state of Karnataka. It is dated to the beginning of the. A big colossal pillar placed on a quadrangle base is located in front of the entrance hall to the temple. As we enter the cave temple, we find a large open area which is generally rare in the cave temples of India. A semicircular path from the main gate leads us to the entrance of the cave. The rock-cut Hindu temple of Ravana Pahadi in Aihole, Karnataka, was made during 550 AD. On the left and the right side of the entrance of the caves are two small shrines. These shrines don't have a presiding deity at present. They have a small simple roof supported on rectangular section columns which stand simply due to gravity and their weight. No mortar has been used here. There is another temple on the right side, away from the main entrance which also looks similar. Aihole, which used to be the capital during the rule of Chalukya dynasty, consists of 125 temples, of which most are rock-cut Hindu temples, a small village that once was the first capital of the Chalukyan kingdom. On the extreme right is the Meguthi hill which can be seen as we zoom the camera. On the Meguthi hill lies the Grand Jain temple and on its base is a double-story Jain Basdi or a smaller temples with multiple columns. Ravana Pahadi contains a vast flat field in the front, which is a unique feature amongst Indian. The opening of the cave is southwest facing. As we move towards the entrance, we see a seated Nandi, the vehicle of Lord Shiva. This Nandi is badly damaged and deteriorated due to environmental factors. In fact, it now looks like a big tortoise. The cave is carved in red sandstone at the bottom of a precipice overlooking the fertile fields of Aihole. At the entrance gate, on either side are two pot-bellied images. These are likely to be the images of Lord Kuber, the Lord of Wealth. Just aside the image of Kuber is an emaciated person, which might be a Dwarpal. Below the Kuber image is a small sculpture of a person trying to lift Kuber. On the right is a small and a simple temple with a small mandapa and a grigraha. It is supported on 4 square section sandstone columns. The roof is a hut-type roof and very simple in design. And the cave is located on a platform and a number of stairs need to be covered in order to reach the cave. The columns and beams are supported due to gravity and no mortar can be seen. The cave is dedicated to the god Shiva, and the spiritual being of the cave is presented as a journey of familiarization and transformation that the believer undergoes on the way to the god and his inner self. While climbing to the cave, the believer absorbs the sun's radiance and becomes filled with light in preparation for the cave's darkness. On the lintel of the main entrance gate are the images of the pros or the kings who might have ordered the construction of the Ravan Pahadi temple. Their headgear gives impression of the Gupta or the Maurya period. However, the temples are definitely of that era. Moving towards the smaller temple on the right side, this temple is almost a similar replica of the temple on the left. This shrine seems to have been renovated with new columns being added to it. The image on one of the column also seems to be quite contemporary. There is no deity in this shrine too. It's empty. It is clear that no puja or worship is being offered at either of the temples. This temple does not have the images of the princes or the kings as is the case for the temple on the right side. Now let us have a look of the area in front of the main temple. We can see a huge open garden in front of the temple and the entrance gate as well as the boundary wall of the temple. Lord Nandi, the bull as well as the huge pillar can be seen in the front. The pillar as well as the statue of Nandi has got deteriorated with the passage of time. There are two big chapa flower trees which are in full flowering. The fragrance of these flowers is filling the environment. Chapa tree is the favorite tree of the snakes and Lord Shiva loves snakes. Now is the time to enter the main temple of Lord Shiva. Lord Kuber in his pot-bellied form can be seen on either side of the main gate. The steps to the entrance have also deteriorated. The steps do not have a smooth finish. This indicates that very few people come and visit the temple. Temples which see a large number of people, their steps become invariably smooth due to the movement of the people on the stone steps. The Griva Mandapa cave has 4 stone pillars carved out from the mountain rock and are an integral part of the mountain. On either side of the columns are statues of various deities. The inside of the temple can be divided 4 main areas. The first are immediately in the front can be called the Mandapa. The areas in the extreme far away and opposite the gate is the Griva Mandapa. Griva Mandapa has the main deity that is Lord Shiva in the form of a Shiva Lingam. In the center of the main mandapa is a lotus flower engraved at the center of the main hall. It is a beautiful piece of sculpture and probably a seating art for the yogis to sit in meditation in front of the Lord Shiva's lingam. Then there are 2 chambers. The right chamber and the left chamber. The left chamber is the most beautifully carved chamber. The front wall has an image of Lord Shiva which has been carved from the mountain. It is the Natraja form of Lord Shiva. He is shown on a dancing pose. He has 10 arms, 5 on each side. Both the heels of the image are above the groins and only the fingers of the feet touch the ground. Parvati, Lord Ganesha and other Shiva companions can be also seen in the panel. Some Ganas are also seen in the sculpture. Lord Shiva is highly ornamented with different type of garlands. His has a very tight-fitting dress in the lower garment. Natraja is a depiction of the Hindu god Shiva as the divine dancer. His dance is called Tandavam or Nadanta. The pose and artwork is described in many Hindu texts such as the Anshuman Bhed Agama and Uttara Kamika Agama. The dance relief or idol featured in all major Hindu temples of Shaivism. The classical form of the depiction appears in stone reliefs, as at the Ellora caves and the Badami caves, by around the 6th century. Around the 10th century, it emerged in Tamil Nadu in its mature and best-known expression in Chola bronzes. The sculpture is symbolic of Shiva as the Lord of Dance and Dramatic Arts. 9. With its style and proportions made according to Hindu texts on arts. It typically shows Shiva dancing in one of the Natya Shastra poses. The dynamism of the energetic dance is depicted with the whirling hair which spread out in thin strands as a fan behind his head. The details in the Natraja artwork have been variously interpreted by Indian scholars since the 12th century for its symbolic meaning and theological essence. Natraja is a well-known sculptural symbol in India and popularly used as a symbol of Indian culture, in particular as one of the finest illustrations of Hindu art. Stone reliefs depicting the classical form of Natraja are found in numerous cave temples of India, such as the Ellora caves, Maharashtra, the Elephanta caves, and the Badami caves, Karnataka. By around the 6th century. Archaeological discoveries have yielded a red Natraja sandstone statue, from 9th to 10th century from Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh, now held at the Gwalior Archaeological Museum. Similarly, Natraja artwork has been found in archaeological sites in the Himalayan region such as Kashmir, albeit with somewhat different dance pose and iconography, such as just 2 arms or with 8 arms. In medieval era artworks and texts on dancing Shiva found in Nepal, Assam and Bengal, he is sometimes shown as dancing on his Vahana, animal vehicle, Nandi, the bull. Further, he is regionally known as Nateshwara. Nataraja artwork has also been discovered in Gujarat, Kerala and Andhra Pradesh. The oldest freestanding stone sculptures of Nataraja were built by Chola Queen Sembiyan Mahadevi. Nataraja gained special significance and became a symbol of royalty in Tamil Nadu. The dancing Shiva became a part of Chola-era processions and religious festivals, a practice that continued thereafter. The largest Nataraja statue is in Neyveli, in Tamil Nadu. Shiva holds a snake in his hands and one more in his neck, whereas Ganesha appears with only 2 arms. In the contemporary Hindu culture of Bali in Indonesia, Shiva, Nataraja is the god who created dance. Shiva and his dance as Nataraja was also celebrated in the art of Java, Indonesia when Hinduism thrived there, while in Cambodia he was referred to as Nriteswara. The concept of the Saptamatrikas or 7 mothers have existed since the Indus Valley civilization. Seals have been found with 7 feminine deities. By the 5th century they came to be called as tantric goddesses. Their sculptural representation in the 1st to 3rd century happened in stone. During the Gupta period, 3rd to 6th century CE, folk images of the Makrikas were made. Later rulers made Skanda as their model and the foster mothers became court goddesses. Initially the Makrikas were considered dangerous but later took on a protective role. They are mostly depicted in Lalitasana posture. According to a legend, the Makrikas were created to assist Lord Shiva in a battle against Andhaksura as per the Isanasiv Gurudev Paddhati. The Makrikas are the powers of the associated Devas. In Shaktism they are believed to have assisted the Devi in her fight against demons like Raktabija. The Saptamatrikas are Brahmani, Vaishnavi, Maheshwari, Kaumari, Varahi, Chamunda and Indrani. The image of Lord Shiva in his ordinary incarnation, where he appears in the embodiment of half woman and half man, holding a trident in hand, is also present in the side walls. On the opposite wall, there is another image of Shiva, who is accompanied by Bhagirath, Parvati, Vishnu and other gods and deities. The roof ceiling is beautifully decorated. Beautiful paint has also been used here, however with time, the colors have been lost. One interesting image on the roof ceiling is the image of a male and a female figure. Their upper body is normal as that of a male and a female, but their lower part is that of a peacock. The temple of Ravana Fedi was once decorated with stunning paintings and artworks, but due to lack of proper preservation only remnants of paintings on the ceiling still remain. The ceiling is decorated with a big carved lotus that is intricately detailed. There are also remains of paintings in the ceiling. The Ardhanarishvara is a composite form of the Hindu deities Shiva and Parvati, the latter being known as Devi, Shakti and Uma. Ardhanarishvara is depicted as half male and half female, equally split down the middle. The right half is usually the male Shiva, illustrating his traditional attributes. The earliest Ardhanarishvara images are dated to the Kushan period, starting from the 1st century CE. Its iconography evolved and was perfected in the Gupta era. The Puranas and various iconographic treatises write about the mythology and iconography of Ardhanarishvara. Ardhanarishvara remains a popular iconographic form found in most Shiva temples throughout India, though very few temples are dedicated to this deity. Ardhanarishvara represents the synthesis of masculine and feminine energies of the universe. Ardhanarishvara is also known by other names like Ardhananari, the half-man woman, Ardhanarisha, the lord who is half-woman, Ardhanarineshvara, the lord of dance, who is half-woman, Parangada, Nanari. The short route is in a straight line that begins with Nandi, passes through the lotus and concludes at the peak, Kaligam, in the sacred room. The path of the believer in the cave is more complex. He must undergo processes of openness, removal of barriers, temperance and transformation until he sheds his fetters and is redeemed. The believer begins by meeting Ardhanavara, the unified form of Shiva and Shakti, cracks and opens to the mothers who accompany Narayan in his cosmic dance, along with his family and the loyal watcher Brahinjin. After Gya removes his obstacles, the mothers promise protection and Shiva fulfills his heart's desires. The believer opens, and from this point and onward the connection between man and God intensifies along the way to the sacred room. The believer passes through a restraining curtain of guards in the form of Shivadhrapla and into the corridor, the Antara. Here he meets the goddess Dog, who slashes the buffalo, and for the believer identifying with the buffalo, this is an experience of conflict and sacrifice, a transformative process that takes him higher. In the relief across the whole Varha saves Dev from the deep water, symbolizing the saving of the Atman from the depths of existence. The spiritual message concerning the yoga activity at the cave is intensified by emphasizing the human ascetics Vagratha and Bhinjan, who are located at the corners of the Mapa, as parts of a triangle whose final vertex is the Lingam. The yoga activity is completed in an empty room at the side of the Mapa, and finally, upon leaving, the believer identifies with the story of Gagdhara and its dual message, the water pouring down to quench the land and the ashes of the ancestors rising to the eternal sky. The research examines the iconography and the artistic elements of the relief according to the Hindu principles and guidance books on one hand, and tools of Western art criticism on the other. The research also examines the relief of Varha and Dod according to Elise Bonna's divided circle theory. The uniqueness of the statues in the cave lies in the fact that the god speaks to us through them, at eye level. The god is standing on the floor, without the mediation of the Padma or the serpents, and the message is passed concisely, without any redundant details. The artist's freedom of expression and the rich cultural infrastructure allowed this complex creation that is one, whole and fascinating. After taking the Matsya, fish, avatar and Kurma, tortoise, avatar, Lord Vishnu transformed into a boat to save Mother Earth from drowning in the cosmic ocean. Therefore, he took his third avatar, Varaha, to protect the planet Earth from a demon named Hiranyaksha, who had stolen the planet. Hiranyaksha was an asura, who was a Dwarpala or gatekeeper of Lord Vishnu's abode, Vaikuntha, in his previous birth. The Sanat Kumaras cursed him and his brother for not allowing them to meet Sri Vishnu. The four Kumaras pleaded the two brothers to let them step inside, but Vijaya and Jay arrogantly refused them permission. However, after getting cursed, when Vijaya and Jay urged the Sanat Kumaras to show mercy, they were told that they would attain moksha only after getting killed at the hands of Lord Vishnu in their future births. Thus, by doing so, that made them realize that one must not misuse their powers. Vijaya and Jay were proud of the fact that they were the gatekeepers of Lord Vishnu. Hence, they believed that they had the right to deny anyone permission to enter Vaikuntha. Therefore, Vijaya was born, and Hiranyaksha and Jay took birth as Hiranyakashipu. The two brothers created havoc in the three worlds, Deva Loka, Prithvi Loka and Patal Loka. They grew so greedy that they wanted to become more powerful than the gods. Varaha, Sanskrit, Bo, third of the 10 incarnations, avatars, of the Hindu god Vishnu. When a demon named Hiranyaksha dragged the earth to the bottom of the sea, Vishnu took the form of a boar in order to rescue it. They fought for 1,000 years. Then Varaha slew the demon and raised the earth out of the water with his tusks. The myth reflects an earlier creation legend of Prajapati, Brahma, who assumed the shape of a boar in order to lift the earth up out of the primeval waters. In painting and sculpture, Varaha is represented either in full animal form or with the head of a boar and the body of a man. Completely zoomorphic sculptures show him as a colossal boar with the earth, personified as the dark-hued goddess Bhumai Devi, clinging to one of his tusks. As half human, half animal, he is often shown standing with one leg bent supporting Bhumai Devi, whose expression, according to Indian canons of representation, should express both shyness and joy. In the carving, she appears to be slaying Mahishasura, a demon king who appears out of a buffalo, with a trident pierced through his chest, and the demon has crouched onto the ground. The wall on the opposite side is ornamented with an artwork portraying Lord Vishnu in the incarnation of Varaha. Goddess Bhumi appears on his hand in a seated position. There are pillars that are decorated with carvings of apsaras. On the ceiling, there are 3 circles that contain carvings of Lord Indra, a lotus, and Lord Vishnu as well as Garuda. There are 3 access points that lead to the most important shrine, where a lingam of Lord Shiva is located. There is a stunning carving of Bhringi, a saint, as well. He appears to be unhealthy, offering prayer to Lord Shiva. A remarkable and large wall relief of Mahishasumardini is at this cave of Ravana Fedi at Aihole in the state of Karnataka. Devi molds Mardana, Mahishasura with one of her 4 left hands as well as the left knee. She pierces Mahishasura too by a spear held in one of her right hands. The earliest, Mahishasumardini, can be found mauling Mahishasura only with her hands. Here, Mahishasura suffers mauling Mardana as well as attack by spear. Here, Mahishasura is often a buffalo, not the dark-complexioned well-built masculine figures we come across during Durga Puja in Calcutta and other cities. We saw interesting figures of Shakti riding a lion too, Singhabahini. Mahishasura was a buffalo asura, demon, in Hinduism. He is known among Hindus as a deceitful demon who pursued his evil ways by shape-shifting. 1, 2, 3. Mahishasura was the son of Mahisi, buffalo, and the great-grandson of Brahmarshi Kashyapa. He was ultimately killed by goddess Durga, after which she gained the epithet Mahishasumardini, slayer of Mahishasura. The Navratri, 9 nights, festival eulogized this battle between Mahishasura and Durga, culminating in Vijayadasami, a celebration of his ultimate defeat. This story of the triumph of good over evil carries profound symbolism in Hinduism, particularly Shaktism, and is both narrated as well as reenacted from the Devi Mahatmya at many South and Southeast Asian Hindu temples. The right chamber is an empty cave without any images or statues or sculptures. It is very dark inside the right chamber. There are further 2 rectangular risses in the right chamber. These were probably used for meditation purposes, as no light is able to reach either the right chamber or the risses inside the right chamber. The roof ceiling is beautifully decorated. Beautiful paint has also been used here. However, with time, the colors have been lost. One interesting image on the roof ceiling is the image of a male and a female figure. Their upper body is normal as that of a male and a female, but their lower part is that of a peacock. Similarly, there are other images on the roof ceiling where the top portions is that of an elephant and the lower portion is that of a peacock. These are very strange images, which I have nor witnessed in any other temple in India. May I have missed them at other places.
शुद्धोऽसि बुद्धोऽसि निरञ्जनोऽसि संसारमाया परिवर्जितोऽसि संसारस्वप्नं त्यज्य मोहनिद्रां मदालसोल्लापनुवाच पुत्रम् शुद्धोऽसि रेतात्तनतेऽस्ति नाम कृतं हि ते कल्पनयाधुनैव पञ्चात्मकं देहमिदं न तेऽस्ति नैवास्य त्वं रोदिषि कस्य हेतुः न वा भवान् रोदिति विश्वजन्म शब्दोऽयमायाद्यमहीशसूनुं विकल्प्यमाना विविधैर्गुणैस्ते.
If you liked the video, kindly share among your colleagues and friends. This shall be my reward. Thanks a lot for watching.